What's up, y'all? It's Ty. In this video today, I'm going to be going over Season 5 of NBA 2K25 MyTeam and then rating it. You know, was it an S-tier season? Was it an A-tier season? Or was it just a pretty poor season? Now, again, this is just my thoughts, my opinions. Not everybody's got to agree with me, but I do want to give my thoughts. If I had to rate this season from S tier all the way down through F tier, what would I rate it? Now, I'm going to start by rewinding, going back the past couple of years to see what we saw in Season 5 in the past compared to what we saw, this season. So let's start in 2K23. The last real Season 3 I think I really played. So if you go to Season 5, I should say I played. This is when we saw the Radiant T-Mac. Man, do y'all remember the Radiant T-Mac? Billy Knight was in the game. And obviously, as always, you remember things for being better than they are. It's just kind of the way it is. Domination Ant wasn't anything crazy. But the Radiant set was fire throughout, no doubt about that. And then we saw Moments cards Monday. We saw New Edition packs Tuesday. The 16-bit drop with that KP obviously was a crazy good drop. Kristaps was ridiculous. Even the Galaxy Opals in that drop were incredible. And then we saw again the New Edition, followed by the highlight reel. And then we saw Bracket Busters Takeover, which I'm pretty sure this was when you could grind it out and then pick one of the two players, if I do remember right. So we saw a lot more free cards that you could ultimately grind for in 2K23 than we saw this season, okay? And so we saw that a lot where you could grind and then pick the card. I do believe is kind of how it worked. Obviously, again, the New Edition drop, the Bracket Busters drop was fine as well. But it just, in my opinion, was way better. We saw a reward Opal Muggsy Bogues. Now, is Muggsy Bogues anything? Was he anything crazy? No, but he was just another fun card. And then you saw the takeover. You could choose. Justin Jackson was a beast back then in this game. And it just, again, you remember it being way better than it was, but it was a fun-ish game. Again, Glenn Rice at the end of it, like, it was fun. Like, we saw I feel like way more different content than we have seen recently. So that's just kind of, again, when I recap this season and go back to what we saw in 2K23, I'd give 2K23 the edge, way above what we saw, obviously, this season. Now, if you go to last year, right, and you go to Season 5 last year, it was the Wild West. We saw, again, 100 overalls. That kind of ruined the game. Again, a lot of these cards were just unattainable. Basically, you had to gamble to get any of these cards. It just wasn't necessarily ideal. The setup was horrible. I hated how they kind of did things last year. But as far as pure content, was it better? I don't know. Like, the Rush set was way better than what we see now. Like, Rush was way better. We saw Moments cards, Leap Year cards. Again, different content on Tuesday. That's one thing I want to highlight is different content on Tuesday. We didn't even get content on any Tuesday. All we saw is basically super packs compared to back then. We saw something better. We saw a new domination during this season as well. But Rush really kind of carried Season 5 last year. No, it wasn't anything crazy, but Rush definitely did carry this season heavy. Again, it always looks, you remember it being better than it actually probably was at the time. But again, we saw Tuesday drops, and it was something way better. If you go to this season, there's not a whole lot to look at. Now, I will say this as far as this season. Austin Reeves for a Pro Pass card was fine. Brandon Roy for level 40 was fine. Bob McAdoo for domination was fine. But outside of that, when I look at this season, it just wasn't great. It just wasn't great at all. As far as the Tuesday drops, it basically was super packs. I mean, yeah, they put in these Tuesday cards, but I mean, does anybody even remember any of these Tuesday cards? Like, outside of Carlo gassing the Brandon Ingram card, does anybody really remember them? Sure, the Friday drops are fine for the fact that, like, you saw some good Amis, you see some good Pink Diamond, you see some good budget cards, and that is one thing I like about this season is that, we finally got some budget cards back in the game. But, like, as far as content specifically, even this Bracket Busters Festival, some people like it, I just think it was a very mid at best season. Very mid. Again, Zach Edey got some excitement in the community, but then when the community found out that he was behind this massive paywall, it kind of ruined all the excitement that the community had going for it. And so I'm just trying to look at this season and be like, how do we really rank this season? To me, I don't think it was a fun season because, yes, we get content once a week. But that's it. You know, we don't have any Tuesdays to look forward to. As far as the Bracket Busters event, it was fine. But compared to 2 weeks or 2 years ago when we saw a bunch of free cards during the season, are you telling me that this event was better than that? I mean, sure, JxmyHighroller, Corey Brewer is fantastic. I'm not going to argue against that. But as far as the rest of it, like, sure, the event, you can make some MT, but people would rather grind for free cards than just get MT. And I just think if we go back 3 years ago to what we saw in Season 5, you guys are going to be, like, stunned at what we really did see in Season 5 3 years ago compared to where we truly are at now. And again, the dynamic ratings was nothing, but we saw a triple threat Gallo, triple threat Jeremy Grant, and we saw content Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And sure, some of them were just super pack add-ons, but we at least saw different things. Bracket Busters Spotlights 3 years ago. I mean, come on, token rewards back then. Thurl Bailey was added. Like, think about where we're at right now compared to where we were at 3 years ago. It is crazy. And everybody I've seen has said, we'll never get 2K22 back. And a lot of people are like, Ty, we were just gassing 2K22. It really wasn't like that. No, it really was like that. It really was. Because sure, we saw these super pack add-ons, but at least they told us what they were, right? Like super pack add-ons, that's what they were. Now they want to disguise it in this heroic drops. There's no heroic drops. It is literally super pack add-ons. That's what it is. It is crazy. And yeah, the Terry and artists were exciting. Like we saw some different things. But at the end of it, it was more than just once a week them giving us, you know, a content drop. It was more than that. And so when I have to give this season, you know, a ranking, genuinely, and I've played the game a lot this season, I would give it a D. It could be worse, right? And when I say it could be worse, we still got the auction house. We got affordable cards. But outside, and when I say affordable cards, I'm not talking about the 100 overalls. I'm not talking about the Dark Matters. I'm talking about like Galaxy Opus Pink Diamonds that can somewhat compete with the best. But when I look at this season, how many free cards did we get throughout the season? Okay, we saw level 40. We saw, you know, domination. And then, you know, we saw, I guess, the JxmyHighroller, Corey Brewer. I'm not even counting the rest of the event cards because they stink. And that's it. You know, Zach Edey was behind a massive paywall. All of the, you know, really a lot of the Bracket Busters Festival event cards were behind this massive paywall. We saw content 1 day a week for the last 6 weeks. Yes, I played the game a lot. Yes, it's what you make of it. But even if you look at, oh, well, did you get rewarded for grinding the game? No. People grinded 200 showdown wins for Kevin Garnett, who at this stage isn't even better than, you know, a card that you can get for like, you know, 100,000 MT. Genuinely. Like, he's not that good. He's not better than, let's say, a JxmyHighroller. And so, like, those are the things that bug me is like, if you go back 3 years ago, there was a reason to load up and play the game. So if we go back to 22, okay, and we just go back to Season 5, which I gotta find out again when Season 5 was. All right, where was Season 5? Season 5 Power Within. Okay, when you look at this, it was so far ahead of where we're at right now. Ray Allen, I think, was our level 40 reward. Now, he wasn't that good, right? Post-Evo, he still wasn't that great. But here you guys see it. Triple threat, Mo, Pete, Ray for Austin. Unlimited Cincy Powell. Now, Cincy Powell was not the best unlimited reward. He wasn't, okay? Like, compared to some of these other guys, like, do you remember that Bob Netterlecky? He was legit. Danny Granger was legit. Gary Payton, all these cards were incredible. Cincy Powell wasn't that great, but he was a card that you could add to your collection. Big Z in Clutch Time was actually pretty good. Like this Sean Kemp was ridiculous for his time. I'm just saying there was way more excitement, right? We saw all these rewards that were way more rewarding for their time than what we're getting now. Now we're just getting recycled cards it's not even an equal chance, at a chance to pull a bad Dark Matter. And so these are the things that I'm like, when I look back at it, I'm like, yikes, man. Genuinely, like, yikes. We really didn't know how good we had it 3 years ago, because when we look at this past 6 weeks, 2K gave us the bare minimum, and I almost guarantee their revenue didn't change. Because when I see people running Zach Edey, Melo, you know, Blake Griffin, you know how much they had to spend. Every time you see a Steph Curry, it's at least $100 spent. And it is what it is, but I can't give this season above a D. I can't. And it is what it is. I'm not hating on the game entirely. But that's what I give this season, is a D. If you want to gas this season, by all means do it. But that's what I'm giving this season from top to bottom is a D. I don't think I can go any higher with that because at the end of the day, if you are not into packs, we got literally no content. And sure, you know what? You can grind the game and make the most of it. But at the end of the day, it's not because of 2K. It's because of us. Like, they didn't give us anything. They gave us the bare minimum for this past season. So hopefully Season 6 is a lot better than Season 5. But I'd give this season a D. That's going to wrap it up. Drop a like on the video, guys. Subscribe if you are new. And as always, man, I love you guys. And have a blessed day.